good?
I think so. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday afternoon here on Kobold Press. I'm Dot. You know that. This is Wolfgang, even though it says V Muse, which is very strange. That's definitely not right. Um,
No.
oh no, you can be V today. I don't think she'll
Uh,
mind.
all right.
I don't think
She's
she'll
pretty
mind.
cool.
It's true. If you had to be any person for the day, being V would be a great choice. It's true. It's true. That's why, because our file did not update. Let's see if we can't change that. But we're excited to have you all here today. We're doing a little bit of a wrap up today. If you've been with us for the last few weeks, you have been kind of watching us interview pretty amazing people that have been joining
Yes.
us for the Vault of Magic, and which is our ongoing Kickstarter, which ends today, folks. So if you showed up, you're not too late. That's at
You
least what
have
I've been telling everyone.
6 hours
You have
left.
6 hours left to get on it. And you know what? Let me quick drop a link here in chat in case you don't even know it's a thing. You know. And so, yes, Wolfgang asked for her name recently. It's a Faye thing.
And she gave it to
And
me.
she gave it. I love it so much. So I thought, with this being the final day, we could have had a guest on, but instead I thought we'd have Wolfgang join us, and we could talk a little bit about some of the successes of this Kickstarter, and
Yes.
with like having raised, what are we at now? Like 450, 460,
450, almost 460,
almost 460,
which
which is
is mind blowing.
oh,
I can't quite wrap my tiny kobold brain around it because it has set every record, right?
yeah.
8,000 backers. We never hit 7,000, much less
Wow.
eight. And we've never, the interest in Vault of Magic has just been really, really gratifying because, I mean, we have great guest designers. We had a great idea, and everybody loves a great big book of magic, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. How does that feel, Wolfgang, to know what everybody needs before they know what they need?
it feels great. It makes me think, well, I know exactly where it came from, right? It was sitting in Lake Geneva at TSR and saying, who was it? It was Slade Henson, a designer from the 90s era, who was compiling the Great Big Encyclopedia Magica.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, are these going to sell? They're just like reprints of stuff that, are in the DMG and every monster book and every adventure. And then I looked at it and I'm like, wow, I really want one of these. It's got every magic item from everywhere ever. Um, but that was a project done for second edition D&D, and it stayed in print for ages, and it
Mm,
was like a 4-volume set, and I used it all the time to pull a cool item out of it if I was designing or if I was just running something for players.
right.
And and the I feel dumb because it took me 5 years to realize that fifth edition could use a book like that,
Yes,
right?
yes. Well,
But
it
it feels
seems that
good.
it's
It
come
feels good
just
to,
in time.
yes, it has. It's going to ship in the fall, and it's going to be amazing. So much better, so much more illustrated.
Hmm.
And you've been talking to all the guests who've been sort of, they've been
Amazing.
doing, yes.
Right? They're
I'm
all
just,
amazing. And they brought their A game to the table in so many ways. Like, just listening to them talk about their magic item is. It's very cool.
yes,
Like their
yes.
processes, how it came to the table. Some of them are deeply personal, have run through
Mhm.
campaigns, right? We sat down, like I said, with V last week and she went over like how she developed all of these items. Uh it's just been really, yeah, it's been really cool to pick the minds of these
I,
creators.
yeah, I think Adam Bradford too brought an item that he's been running in his campaign for like 2 years or something. I
Yeah.
forget, but
Yeah.
I'm like, that's great. It's something that clearly, has
Hmm.
seen a lot of table time already. He's got a real vision for what it looks like. Um, and those sorts of items, I think, resonate on the page. And when you're
Mm.
sort of browsing a book of items like that, it's like some of them you're like, yeah, it's a potion, it does X. And other ones you say, somebody loved this item enough to really like bring a deep shine to it, and
Yeah.
the art reflects it and everything.
Yeah, listen to Pat talk about
Yes.
joke about how many words he sent all of you. Like clearly he got started and the like inspiration on the item and like the thing just became a whole thing, and he's like, I feel so bad I keep sending him like thousands of words when they asked me for like 250. And
Well,
so it was really endearing actually, to see these
yes.
people inspired to want to put it into this book.
It's been really interesting too. Different designers have kind of taken a different approach in like how how big they want to be. We're like, you're all busy people. We know we're asking you a favor to bring us your A game magic item. It sometimes takes as much mental effort to do just one or two items as it
Mm.
does to write like, you know, a larger chunk. But we said, bring us your coolest stuff. And they did. And sometimes it was like with V, she's like, well, I've got 7 items from the streaming game I ran, right? From the last air.
Yeah.
And they were all items from that campaign. And I'm like, well, don't make me pick. Just give us all 7 if they're already right.
Right,
Like
we'll
we'll
just
put
put
them
them
in the
all in
book.
there. Yeah. I
So
love that.
yeah, they come from play, they come from personal stuff, or they come from like Pat's. Like he started writing, and that just kept snowballing a little
Yeah,
bit.
it just
Yeah.
kept going and going and going. And, that's, it's kind of a cool thing. I have to say, it's a
Yes.
pretty cool thing. So, we hit some major goals,
Yes.
obviously.
Oh, we hit almost. I think we hit all the major goals, and we're off to the very much not a major goal
Goal.
frosting on top. Yes.
How much frosting can you put on the cupcake? Called the
Well, if
Wolfgang.
you're a kobold, all the
Oh,
frosting, right? Like just don't stop, keep going.
uh,
Calories are important when you're a reptile.
it's true. Yeah, you gotta, always a growing kobold.
Yes.
Always a growing kobold. Okay, so we hit some. What would you say are some of your favorite goals that we met or we hit? Because obviously all the releases of everybody's stuff is
All of
cool.
the guest designer ones are favorites, right? Like we started with Celeste and Deborah, Celeste Konowich, Deborah Ann Wall, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Luke Gygax. As so, I mean, I could just name them all. Those are all favorites because it's something we've never done, and they all
Mm-hmm.
did something great. But we already talked about that, so I'll name some of the other stuff. Um, One is that series of fabled items,
I was
right?
hoping you were gonna bring that up because I think we got a little sliver of what the fabled items are with Pat, but we don't actually know. No.
Yeah, well, there's an update buried on the Kickstarter campaign. I think we it sort of describes what the heck are we talking about when we say fabled item, right?
Mm.
Um, but it is similar to some of the third edition items that grow in power, right? Um, they have more history, they have more word count, um, and sometimes if you know their secrets, you can level up with your item,
Mm.
basically, right? And this is something that the Kobold art director, Mark Radel, started.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of these. And I'm like, well, these are cool, but the whole point of this book is to do short and sweet
Mm-hmm.
stuff that everybody can use, and that, we don't want to do too many of these. But I said, but what if we did them as stretch goals? And what if we, said we're only going to do 15 or, some small number of
Mm-hmm.
things. And from my perspective, they're less powerful than artifacts and relics, which you got to warp a whole campaign around,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but they're still way more interesting than, a healing potion or a +1 dagger.
Yeah.
So I like that about them. They all have every one of those has, I think we're up to 20 or 30 fabled items with all the stretch goals. And they don't all get a lot of like individual attention, but here it
Yeah.
is. February 19th is update number 10 is the one we
Mm.
where we talked about what they are exactly.
Yes.
But
read us the great words. I did Megan write that one? I bet she did.
yeah, she did. She did. She
I
totally
bet
did.
she did.
Um I could maybe put it in chat. Am I smart enough to
Ooh.
know how to put that in chat?
Copy and paste.
Yeah, I can do that.
I was gonna say I might be able to
Um
grab it too. Oh, Wolfgang, stop posting links. No, it's okay. I got
I'm
you.
posting links in chat. That's against the
Post
rules.
post it
I
in
don't
Zoom
know.
chat, and I'll post it in there. That way people
That's better. I
don't
think this
so
needs
that
to be.
so that Streamlabs doesn't yell at Wolfgang live.
Oh no, Streamlabs! I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to.
The hammer is heavy here on Kobold Press.
Yes, it is. All right, here. I'm putting it in Zoom chat,
And then
and
I'll see if I can't
you
quick
can do
drop it.
this the proper way.
And then I'm gonna
And
give Wolfgang permissions for future Wolfgangs to be able to post links. There we go.
promise to only put spam links in there for my. Yeah, no. But I mean, fabled items definitely has to be right at the top. And
Yeah.
and initially I was like, yeah, we don't want to do too many. And Mark talked me around, and then people like Pat Rothfuss and Gail Simone both took it and ran with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Love it.
the other stuff that I like, there was one stretch goal that was like common items, everyday items, which I always think is like that's the stuff that I put out in the
Wolfgang,
treasure
we
charts all
just
the
crossed
time.
over 460. We're $1 over
Woo!
460. It just
Yes.
happened. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to celebrate.
Wow.
I did it right there on screen. That was fun.
Oh, wait a minute. I did bring. Oh no,
Oh,
my kazoo is faulty. There we
you
go.
should know. I feel like I'm officially part of the Kobold family now. I have two. I bought
You have two.
I have bought a birthday one, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I won't spoil that one.
Oh,
And then I bought
birthday. Yeah.
a legit metal one because everybody was like, "If you're gonna get a kazoo, get a metal one." So
Yes, the metal ones are better. I picked up this wooden one for I don't know reasons. It was floating around, and I'm like, I don't know how kazoos became so melded into this project, but oh
we need a
yes,
magic kazoo at some point. I feel like
I can spill the beans. I wrote a magic kazoo, and it's going into the vault.
the beans have been spilled right here on Kobold Chats. I love it.
Could not. It was like, well, yes. I had a guest designer item that was a very serious Librum of Power, right? A grimoire, and then I'm like, but wouldn't it be more fun for a kazoo?
This is the bard I deserve to play.
Yes. Every kobold bard ever is going to want one of these. It's going to be a quest item for everyone because, of course, it's the scariest, meanest, most draconic kazoo
That ever existed.
that ever existed. The item's name is the Thunderous Kazoo
Wow.
because that's what kobolds want to be. And of course, it was invented by a kobold bard, and it's going to be. There's an illustration for it that Mark refuses to show me, but
No spoilers, not yet. I'm loving this.
yes.
There are actually a
So we're
few
gonna.
musical magic items in this book, which I thought was really interesting.
Yes,
Because Victoria also put some. She put the bagpipes in there, right?
she did. The Bagpipes of Battle was one of our
Battle.
first reveals.
And I think that's it's really cool because sometimes I talk about this sometimes. Welcome in Raiders, all the RPGs. Welcome in, welcome in. It's I don't know. It's interesting. Sometimes bards and druids get the short end of the non-magical stick.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
do.
when it comes to like weapons and things that are really useful to them, and I just love that there are musical magical items like that are beyond just your regular like lute or pan flute or something like that. Like it's just
Yes.
it's very
Hey, now
exciting.
we got a very nice flute, a magical flute, the
Ooh.
dinosaur summoning flute from Janet, the guest designer over at World Anvil. She submitted that item, and we
It
we hit
summons
that goal yesterday.
dinosaurs.
Yes, the flute of dinosaur summoning.
That's
It's
amazing.
it's fantastic. It's very much her. I think the World Anvil crew knows about that kind of thing, and it's one of those items that's it's going to cause mayhem, right?
That's
Somebody's going to
amazing.
get the item, not be able to identify it, just start playing it. Next thing you know, why is there a T-Rex chasing us?
Yeah, your water ripples. It's the start of Jurassic Park.
I don't know all the details. Maybe it's some tiny little
Yeah, Jurassic
know.
flute. This is wonderful. I love this
Yes.
idea. Or just
There
like
are
a Pied
goofy items.
Piper type storyline where instead of like calling mice, he calls stampedes of dinosaurs.
Right?
What a
Like
chaos.
brontosauruses, and yes, they just sort of it's that scene of pure wonder in the first Jurassic Park. You finally get to see
Yeah,
the
the
dinosaurs.
music pans
The
over.
music swells and the
Uh.
stampede begins.
Oh, I love it so much. That's very
Jurassic.
cool.
Yes, that
See,
one's
these are
fun.
items, y'all, I don't know about because I've only got to hear about the designer items, so I'm learning
Yep.
like you are.
It was one of the very last designer items right around the time Gail Simone's items came up. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Try Clarence Top chat, your puns. Your dinosaur puns are on point
try-
today. You
They
get
are
a dad
sharp.
joke point. Boom.
Druids find a way. Yes, find a way to get a dinosaur into the game.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well,
Uh,
what else about this project as we wrap up? So I'm going to reiterate that
mhm.
today is your last
We are
day.
wrapping it up.
It's wrapping up, which means if you don't get it on the Kickstarter, you're going to have to wait, like all the
Yes.
other basic kobolds.
Yes. You're not going to get all the sneak previews that we post for backers only in the next couple months either. But
Yep.
yes, the other stuff that's really cool this time around, in addition to some amazing art
Mm-hmm.
that got funded through the Kickstarter and the guest designer items, the thing that isn't a stretch goal, that's just sort of a part of this project from the beginning, is the massive item tables that Megan, the
Oh,
editor, is putting together.
okay.
We're we started with about 800 items. The stretch goals have pushed us close to 1,000 items now,
Wow.
and I hope we go over because
So
just
here's the thing. I
yeah.
misspoke in a past Kobold chat and said 1,000 items, and then in chat I was like, "Dot was wrong. It's closer to 800. I misquoted that."
No,
I
but no, you were right both
I was
times.
right both times.
We started at 800, but like the stretch goal items have added 150. I'm not sure at this point. We added a lot. Um,
Wow.
and then Megan and I were looking through some old books from like long ago for reasons like 10 years ago,
Huh.
15 years ago. And we said, what if we update these items?
Oh. Okay.
So there's some stuff from the very early days of Kobold Press, like from Dwarves of the Iron Crag. There's some 3.5 edition D&D items that we're bringing forward, polishing up, rewriting the mechanics, and bringing into 5th edition D&D. Uh, those are going to be great. People who remember them are like, okay, you have Kobold cred.
Yeah, you got a little
Um,
kobold cred. Well, we had some. I think we had some folks in chat last week that were asking like, how many of the items are being updated? Where are they coming from? And I was like, I don't know, but
oh,
I know they're coming. So now we can tell you.
I can be more specific about some of that if you
Yeah,
think
share
people
with
want
us
it.
where
Okay.
as Jay Lee in chat says, in the before time from the long
In the
long
before
ago.
times. Yes.
What are you
Uh
pulling and giving a fresh face to?
so let me see if I can. I don't know if I have every item name. I was looking at entire books,
Oh
right?
wow. Okay.
And old product lines that made me go like digging for where is my 2010 file of this, right? But one of the first that sprang to mind was Sunken Empires had ancient tech stuff,
Oh, okay.
and nautical items. Like the ancient tech is sort of sunken Atlantean type stuff. The nautical items are really cool. Brandon Hodge wrote a bunch of those, I
Mm-hmm.
think. The Dwarves of the Iron Crags is also third edition D&D, and it had magic items that were of dwarven construction and Darrow items. So
Oh.
some weird tech stuff. We did pick up my weird tech stuff from Empire of the Ghouls because I wrote some Darrow items for
Mm-hmm.
that. But those are more recent. Oh, and Kobold Quarterly. Oh my goodness. We looked at Kobold Quarterly and I threw some stuff Megan's way, and she's the editor and gets to say no. But I suggested that there were some monkish magic items in Kobold Quarterly
Oh.
17. There's something called magical squibs and firecrackers, which Kobold Quarterly 20 had a ton of arrows and alchemy. And oh, there was another one I don't remember.
Okay.
Um, there were some James Hake items from the blog I found.
Yeah.
There was the stuff from the Expanding Codex. That's kind of recent, but Mike Wellham wrote that. Oh, and from the Pathfinder era,
Oh.
the Midgard Player's Guide to Blank was this guide series that we'd have to only pick out the ones that aren't very Midgardy. We want this to be a generic book that goes anywhere, right? And some of those items are tied very specifically into Midgard, but some of them are more general, like four new magic arrows or rings of illusions or that kind of thing, magic carpets, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think there were 5 or 6 installments of those Midgard players guides to place.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're all by Adam Roy
Mm.
and published like in 2013 or something,
Okay.
2014. So we're going back 7, 8 years.
A little bit.
Yeah. And some of them were great fun, and others are like, yeah, no, we're
Mm-hmm.
not doing that one. But we're skimming the cream basically
Mm-hmm.
off of all these kinds of things. We're picking our the best because we do have to do work to bring them into the new rule
Right.
set. Um, and not everything fits, and some things just yeah. But those are the ones off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more that we've had
We
rattling
had,
around.
let's see,
But yeah,
somebody
going
did
back to the
ask,
third edition.
any usable items for artificers or clockwork tech mage users? There's a couple. I'm thinking like,
Yeah.
what's the clockwork rabbit or the gear rabbit that the
Yes.
little hair, the hair,
The
that
clockwork
the
hair.
clockwork hair, um,
Yeah.
Adam's clock, the time clock,
Yes, the time worn timepiece.
the time worn timepiece, and you even Pat's door. I think could be very interesting for like an artificer or a tech mage.
Yes. And we love our clockworky stuff. It's baked into Midgard pretty deeply. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to pull some of those items, file off the Midgard bits, and say, here's a cool clockwork item.
Yeah.
I think there's not a ton of that. Artificers specifically is a little trickier because they're not available under the open gaming license, right? So we can't tie them specifically into class abilities or artificers. But anything in that magical tech zone and clockwork creations like in all the Toma Beasts,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're in there. I don't know if I'd say there's a ton,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there's some.
There's some. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it's one of the things I'm beginning to like about this book is there's a little bit of something for everyone. Like
Oh
if you
yeah,
you know like
that's why
a
that's
little taste of something where everybody can get a magical item no matter what race or class you're playing.
mhm.
If you're in Midgard, if you're not in Midgard, which I think is really helpful because, like I said, sometimes these books come out and they don't have a little something for everyone, and
Right.
so this is what makes this one really exciting.
Yeah, the potions are certainly pretty generally useful. The weapons and armor section is huge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of spell casting stuff. As we said, bards get their share, and monks who often aren't very item heavy get at least a couple,
Okay.
or more than a couple. They get a few. Um, and the nice thing, oh, I was gonna say the tables, right? Like we have 1,000 items, so it's driving Megan a little frantic getting the tables lined up for this because what we're doing is the tables you roll on for by rarity, um, and you can roll either a vault of magic item on that table, but we've also included the open items, right? Stuff
Mm,
from the Dungeon Master's Guide that's available. So you could roll on one vault table, and you could either get a standard D&D item or a vault item, which saves you the trouble of saying which table do I want to roll on. Just roll on the big
right.
table.
Yeah, the big one is the answer.
Yes.
The big one. All right.
So
Well,
yeah, there.
what other little bits and crumbs can you tell us about
Can I
this book
share?
without because I know as everybody always says in chats we can't spill all the beans or there will be an explosion. So just some beans.
There's I mean, I can talk about my item a little bit,
Oh, okay.
probably. Um, which hit at the 400K mark, I believe. Was I at 400? I was. It's called the Book of Eventides. It's a grimoire, so it's for wizards. You got to attune to it, and like the Librum books and grimoires in Tasha's Cauldron, um, they're in that category of it's in that category of items. It contains some spells that are shadow magic and illusion, but the part I really like about the Book of Eventides is it lets you reshape shadow stuff sort of like a super powered illusionist from the old AD&D days. You can basically reshape reality with it, right? You
Huh.
can change the landscape, raise a hill there, turn a hill into a swamp there, shift the course of rivers. It's charged, and you can't
Okay.
just do it all the time.
Sure, yeah. That's
It
a
also, the
powerful
bigger
one.
the right, the bigger the change you want to do. Basically, this is my nod to the way I pictured Gary Gygax's Shadow Plane back in the day,
Oh,
right?
okay.
because Gygax love the plane of shadows, and I do too, kind of, right? It's not the uh, positive or negative energy plane. It's that weird
Yep.
mix in between.
Yep.
And at least in the AD&D days, that's where all illusion magic came from, was the
Mm.
power of shadow magic. Um, I thought, well, let's take that and just ramp it up, right? Let's just
Turn it
let's
up
make
to 11.
right like so you are um and I like outdoor encounters where um a clever illusionist can make a huge difference. I My high school campaign had one gnome illusionist character in it who basically said, I'm going to use phantasmal force all the damn time. And he was so clever about it. I was like, wow, you're spoiling my whole encounter, but I'm not even mad,
I
right?
can't. Yeah, I can't. I can't fault you.
I can't fault you because you're just being so smart about it. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I liked about that. And here it's more concrete. The Book of Evantide says, spend a few charges. Um, your arc, you need to be a powerful wizard. Your arcana needs to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But if so, then suddenly you drain the moat around the castle, or you crack the mountainside, or
Right.
those
Right.
sorts of things.
Okay.
It's a fun one. I don't think DMs are going to be giving it out like candy, but it's a lovely villain item, a sort of a capstone item.
Cool. Very cool. Well, I imagine we're going to have to wrap back around here at the end of our chat to see how far we've come on the Kickstarter.
Yes, we are.
But we have another exciting thing. Like, if Vault of Magic wasn't enough, y'all, we've got something coming up this weekend. Do you want to? We've kind of spilled these beans already, but now we can tell you a lot more. Do you want to? You want to tell everybody what it's about, Wolfgang?
Well,
What's going on?
so what's going on? I think the short version is um, back in 2016, I was booting around online and said, this is fun. I'm writing as a designer for various RPG companies and doing my stuff. Wouldn't it be cool if I took some of my stuff and just put it out there in PDF form or something? And I didn't realize at the time that by asking people to give me money and cutting out that whole complicated editing, layout, printing process, I was actually founding a company. But that's what happened on March 20th, 2016. And that's 15 years ago come
Wow.
Saturday.
Wow.
I didn't mean to found a company by accident. And yeah, I caught some flack for it later. And like, my partner at the time was like, she was mad that I had founded a company without asking. But
Oops.
yeah. But it turned into a wild ride. The first 4 or 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, were a very small business, and then it got more serious and more professional, and I realized other people could do some of the writing, and that might be a good thing. And so Kobold Press is celebrating 15 years in business.
Woohoo! There it
Yay!
is. 15 years. Look at our look at
15
our happy
years.
Kobold.
He's very happy. That's Jiro the mascot. Oh
He
my goodness, we
is
got the original mascot artist back. His name's Darren Calvert. He's awesome.
amazing.
And yes, we are happy kobolds this weekend. We are throwing a party. Um, and I think you may want to keep an eye out on some of the, I don't know, the newsletter or the social or something,
Yeah.
because
Well, we can say so. We can talk. I got some things I can share. I can't share all the things.
yes,
Yet.
share some of the things.
But I do know, so some things to keep an eye out for. Because of this, we're going to be having some discount codes dropped to the store.
Yes.
So keep an eye on our social. We're working on maybe some live giveaways. So we're going to be going from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. PDT starting Saturday. And it's going to be like a whole day of celebrating the kobolds. So we've got...
Yay.
Well, we've got a few things in store for you. We've got some actual plays. I can announce that Nomadic, will be joining us as one of our GMs.
Yay!
If you know Gnome's a prior Kobold, still a Kobold in our hearts, and is a great GM. And I'm very excited because when I joined Kobold Press, I asked Gnome what his favorite module, what did he thought the most Kobold thing he could to run was, because I wanted to start reading some Kobold stuff. And he's going to be running one that I'm very excited about. I've actually talked about it before, but I'm leaving it for Gnome to run. So Gnome's going to be running that for us. Right now, I am slotted to GM, though I have an Ask Out, which they're way cooler than me. So let me tell y'all, if they say yes, Dot's going to be playing.
Cooler than you, Dot? Well, all right,
even cooler than me. Even cooler than me. But yes, a very cool Kobold maybe be joining us. But the table's also filled with a lot of other faces that you probably know from the TTRPG community, as well as our little Kobold community. So I can tell you that Ted from oh my gosh, Nerd Immersion is going to be joining us, who's a good friend of mine and I know has brought some things to the table before. Diana Noir, who's currently our Southlands GM, is going to be joining us at the table as a player. It looks like Victoria is going to be there with us. Dan Dillon is back to join us, along with...
Seriously? Dan's coming back to play?
Uh-huh.
Yay!
Yeah, very excited. So Dan's going to be back to play. KP 11 Studios is joining us. Draconis is going to be joining us as well. B is coming back, who's also in our Southlands campaign. And I just got word that... Hang on. I just got word that somebody else is joining us, and I want to tell you who it is. Yes, okay, good. I didn't want to tell you the wrong thing. WebDM Jim is also going to be joining us as for a game. So we've got a whole lineup of some really cool, talented people coming to play Kobold stuff. But if that wasn't enough for you, we're like slotting interviews throughout the day, very similar to what Wolfgang and I are doing now, with people from our little Kobold past.
Yay! So blast from the past. This is...
and we have a super surprise for you. We have a super duper surprise for you at the end of the day. That's going to be very exciting. If you want to see all the Kobolds gathered, we're herding Kobolds, and if you want to see all the Kobolds gather, we're going to be having a gather of Kobolds right here at the very end of the night to let out our trumpeting of kazoos in celebration of our 15th. So that's what I was telling y'all. I bought a special birthday kazoo that has a trumpet on the end.
That makes it even more awesome. You can be the Duke Ellington of Kobold kazoos. Right?
I'm very excited. I have not blown it yet. I'm saving it for Saturday. I cannot say the same thing for the metal one. That one has gotten a lot of use. My neighbors may not love me anymore. But here we are. So I'm very, very excited. I think this is a really exciting thing. And for all of those of you in chat and all of you Kobold Press lovers, ping us on social media. Tell us what kind of questions you want answered. I imagine we're going to do some deep dives, and Wolfgang can talk more about that crazy, unexpected process of how all of this got started. But we're also going to have some of the original designers, hopefully, on board. And all kinds of neat things. So we want to know what you want to know about. I'm even thinking maybe we'll have some Kobold Press trivia. Who wants to win some things?
Yes, trivia. Show sharp wits, win sharp prizes.
Yes, exactly. Sharp wits, win sharp prizes. So it should be a really, really fun little weekend, and I look forward to all of you joining us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's still weird to me that it's, Kobold Press is a teenager. Next year it'll be old enough for a driver's license. It's
then it's going to college.
And then it's going to college. It's going to get drunk. Oh man.
Oh no.
21 years of Kobold. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Not
ready for that. But, at some point, it just keeps getting bigger, and there are more Kobolds around, as we have seen in the Vault Kickstarter. There's more. The numbers keep growing, and it's going to be a blast to talk about the old times a little and some of the weird stuff we thought was a good idea.
You know what? I'm making a note to ask about the weird stuff that we thought was a good idea. That's going to be a talking point. I'm making my list right now.
All right. Yes.
Weird stuff. Yeah. I love that. That's a great question.
I mean, there were monsters that seemed like a good idea. There was art that seemed like a good idea. There were just whole projects that seemed like a good idea. And that's how you learn, right? Like, we weren't geniuses. And I certainly, oh God, you're so naive when you start stuff like this, because I was a writer and I assumed that everything that happened after the design phase just sort of happened. I don't know how How ignorant is that, right?
Look,
It's
it
like,
happens to every. Oh, we just crossed 461,000.
yes.
Look at us go. Yeah, it's funny as somebody who used to actually do consulting work for artists that were starting businesses.
Uh-huh.
It's the number one thing. There's this mentality in artists. It's like, but I made it so people will buy it, right? Or like, I did the thing. It's on paper, but and there's always extra steps that we forget about. And so, and
Right.
it,
I was
it just
so
happens.
excited about some of these projects early on, and I didn't know how to tell people how awesome they were. And I didn't realize that there was a whole thing about telling people.
Yes, must share. Yeah,
Well,
that's
I
very
was in
fun.
a super fortunate position, right? Because I had worked at WotC and I had
Yep.
worked on Dragon Magazine. So people kind of followed me online, but they didn't
Before following
expect
somebody
me.
online was like a true thing to do. Like now it's like
I
part of the
know.
vernacular. Then it was like you had to follow somebody, you
You
know.
did. You kind of had to, whatever. Oh my God. Yeah.
Tell your live journal about it,
2006.
Dot.
2006. Oh my God. Yeah. What was the world like then?
2006,
Mm,
where was I? Wolfgang, I'm gonna blow your mind. I had not even graduated high school yet.
wow.
I was
See?
just getting ready to graduate high school, which means I had not technically played my first. I had played a lot of Hero Clicks at that time, but I had not played my first technical TTRPG.
Oh, HeroClix was
I
huge.
was a
And it was
big,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
like an RPG, a
a
little.
little. It's like a situational, scenario based, tabletop. Anyways, I love HeroClix. V and I got
Yeah.
to talking about that the other day. That was very exciting. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, okay.
It's been some time.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's been some time. You've been doing this a while, and so I guess that's what the
Like,
celebration's about. Is like this little
well,
kobold did not give up.
right. Well, that's part of it. Like, one of the things you learn about creative work is persistence pays, right? Like, everybody starts off being awful at whatever it is they want to do. They're not good at art or game design or, singing and music and performance. But if you stick it out, um, you get better. And then eventually someone in chat says, make the Kobold Guide to Kobolds. And you say, it's genius.
Why didn't
We
I
have
think
two
of that?
we have 2 weeks until April 1st. And if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be checking the blog and writing that myself, the Kobold Guide to Kobolds.
See, I mean, if it's a guide to kobolds, it definitely needs to be written by a kobold. And if we're dropping it on
Mm-hmm.
April 1st, I say you open the PDF and there's nothing there because a kobold wrote it, which means there is
Not that
knowledge.
literate. It's a trap. Don't buy it.
The kobold's just trying to take your money. Just kidding. Oh, that's funny. I think
We
that's
wouldn't do
cool.
that. We would
Yeah.
give it away for free, and then we would put a picture of like a mimic or something in it.
Right?
I don't know.
Like a kobold giving you like finger guns or something.
Finger gun.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. It's just an elaborate rickroll, basically. When the kobold becomes a proper troll. I love it.
Yes.
That's funny. All right. Well, very cool. So we know we can celebrate with us this weekend. Obviously, the Kickstarter
Yes.
is very close to closing. So still, you can see the numbers are jumping as we're speaking. People are still backing this thing. With 5 hours to go. I repeat,
I know.
5 hours, y'all, for Vault of Magic. So I'll drop a
Word.
link one more time in chat.
Yes.
And I did
I
put a little note, but if anybody has questions, now's a great time as we're wrapping up for today's chat. If you got questions for
yeah.
Wolfgang or you got questions about Vault of Magic,
I think we have a Vault of Magic designer here in chat. I think I recognize Mr. Lee,
are
who
they?
wrote like, yeah, he wrote like 100 items in Vault. He should be on this show.
Oh, no big
We're gonna have to
deal.
make him talk about it during the launch. Make it
Yeah,
a year ago that he wrote everything, and then ask him very precise questions about
there's a lot of side eye happening in chat.
it. So much side eye. Perfect.
Yes, stairs and kobold. I love it. I love it so much. Well, get those questions and make sure you mark it as a question, y'all, because Dot is actually blind. I know the glasses look stylish, but they for real. And I can't all the time see your questions with everybody's chatter. So please make sure to make that clear for me if you have questions, and we'll spend the next 5 minutes just kind of chatting. And if no questions come through, we'll call it an early kobold chat.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pressing refresh. I mean, I don't want to say compulsively, but yeah, you know how it is with Kickstarter, and especially when it's going well. And for this one, I kept waiting for that slow middle that everyone dreads, right? It's like everyone loves the first week because yay, we funded, or we're trying real hard to get funded, and everyone loves the last week because all the sort of sitting on the sidelines people make up their minds and say, yes, I'm in. But that middle section, it never slowed down,
No, it
Dot.
didn't dip. It did not.
It,
We
there
just
was no
powered right through it.
and I mean, that's kind of when Pat Rothfuss showed up and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do a thing for you," and and we
And we were
had
like, oh, no big deal.
no big deal. And then Gail shows up, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "What?" I'm talking with Gail Simone about her magic items, and she's obviously a D&D geek, and
Having the
I'm
best time of
loving.
my life.
Right, like this project is going to be memorable, not just because it's producing this big book that I'm going to refer to for years, and that saves me the trouble of looking up things in 25 other
Mm-hmm.
publications, right? They're all going to be there. But because people from around the geek universe showed up and said, "Yeah, let me do a thing. Let me do a cool."
Yep.
Ah, yeah, the items are great.
Yeah,
Um,
it really does. The collaborative nature of this book, I think, is something that really
yes.
draws me personally to it.
Mm-hmm.
None of Kobold, I mean, at least not the recent ones that I've been around for, right, in the last 5 years or so, have necessarily been done individually. Obviously, there's a lot of names on that and those kinds of things, but this
Yes.
book specifically feels really super duper collaborative because we've pulled people in from all corners,
Yes.
and I think that that's really neat. You got somebody like Deborah and Wall, who is an
Yeah.
entertainer by
Yes.
trade, brilliant and wonderful, and also one of the nicest humans and has the cutest dog. These are things I
I
can confirm
know.
about Deborah and Wool,
And
right?
her whole relics and rarities things. I mean, she loves
Right.
magic
She
items,
loves
right?
magic. That's her whole thing. And so she talked about this. So you got somebody like Deborah and Wool, and then on this in the same book, you've got Gygax, right? You've got
Yes.
you got
Got Luke.
Luke with us, and
Yeah.
it's like, and the whole time you just have to make the Home Alone face kind of from start to finish on the whole thing because it's just got so many great contributors and so much
Yes.
great talent at the table. And so that just, if that's not something to get hyped about, y'all, I don't
It
know what is.
it totally reminds me of the old design jams in Lake Geneva, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes they were a thing you did because everyone was into it. Like, let's do a monster design jam. All right, everybody, I need one monster on my desk by the end of the day, right?
yeah.
And we're going to put them together for a charity event. Or if it was really bad, we'd say, the turnover from the freelancer is short, or we need four more monsters to fill out the book. And it's like, okay, design jam, hand it to four people
Yeah,
and see what comes back. And those riffs, those weird creative tangents, are often the parts that people remember because they
yeah.
were written under intense pressure, or like, I want to show off my stuff and I want to be the designer who contributes the coolest thing in front of an audience of other
Yeah,
designers.
yeah, for sure. So we do have a couple questions coming out of chat. These are actually
Oh,
ones.
good.
So
Sure.
what are some of? Okay, so this is actually more of a question. VTT versions is obviously a question.
Mm.
What are some items that might be included? Tables, histories. Is that even on the table? A VTT
I, you
option?
know, that is a really great question. And I'm going to have to say I'm the wrong person to answer it. I think it would be great to have a random generator of some kind built into a
Ooh,
VTT that takes you to an item randomly, right?
like yeah, a
To
random
fill out
pull from the vault.
a
Uh,
random pull from the vault. But I don't know the platforms well enough, especially with Shard, which is new. Like Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, I can at least stumble around in, but I would need to talk to our more digital kobolds about whether that is a thing that will happen. Certainly, the art's included and the stats are included,
yeah.
and
You know
it's
what I
easy
would
to.
really love to see? Because, like,
What
when I'm
would you
sitting
like to see?
at a table and I'm playing and you're talking magic items, I really love when magic items can be given to a player on, like, the card. Like, you have the thing and you can, like, clip it to, like, old school,
Yes.
I would have clothes pinned it or, like, paper clipped it to my
Yeah. Yeah.
stat sheet or
Yeah.
whatever. But Roll20 and a lot of these VTTs have card systems.
Yes.
So like I would
Yes.
love to see it. I mean, it's nice to have it in the compendium, right? Because I as the GM need to like quick search it, but it'd be very cool to be able to actually pass the card on a VTT to your player and like have it in a
Yes.
stack. I think that's a really neat that's Dot's want. Would be
Wouldn't it
yeah.
be nice?
Wouldn't
Yeah.
it be
And
nice exactly.
And I think Kobolds have gotten a lot better at VTT everything in the
Mm-hmm.
last 5 years. I mean, we started really early with them, but they're a different skill set to put forward. And it took us a while to figure out how we wanted to do it. We're
Mm-hmm.
getting better and better. Um, and at this point, like with the lighting and occluders and overlays, and oh my gosh, the stuff in Scarlet Citadel with the map overlays, it's great.
It's great. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And I will say, I mean, there's a lot out there right now on VTTs, like just of our stuff. But in terms of Alta Magic, I imagine we got to get through printing a book, and then we could talk like, how do we make it digital, or how do we get it to people in
Well,
a
but
digital way?
the nice thing we're doing now is we don't wait for the book to print,
That's
right? Like
great. That's great.
we take that text and we hand it to the VTT team, the developer team, the same time we hand it to the layout, proofing, and printing team. And they both take about
Ah.
the same amount of time because, well, because some of it is just sort of, depending on the platform, a little hairy to put it all in place and then double check that it's all correct and then QA it properly and yeah, all the rest of it. Turns out it's work to make something for VTT just like print.
Yeah. Jayton in chat says you're currently running Margreave on Roll20 and they appreciate the VTT support as we continue to make new stuff. That's
Oh,
awesome. That's great to
yay.
hear. Thanks. Really, really like that.
Excellent.
Um,
Yes.
Verfor wants to know what are some of your favorites from the new book, and maybe why. Maybe give us one as we wrap up. Like, what is your personal favorite,
One
Wolfgang?
favorite.
From a
You're gonna
thousand
make me like.
items.
There's like 20 guest designers. You're gonna make me pick like Deborah Ann Wall over Pat Rothfuss. No, that's a trap. I can smell that
I
coming.
mean, nobody said you can't pick your own.
Well, I actually my favorite item at the moment and today because it's all about celebration is the thunderous kazoo
I love it.
because it's just so ridiculous and it's
Love it.
it's like 50 words and my editor just kind of looked at me like a kazoo, right? I'm like, yeah, come on. Actually, Megan got it. She's like, this has to go in.
This
Can
is
I
this
tell
going.
everyone? I was
Oh,
kidding,
bless
Megan. It
Megan.
was a joke item,
Bless
but it's
Megan.
now my favorite.
That's awesome. All right. Well, very cool. Yes, thunderous kazoo. Man,
Yes,
now I want
must.
like I always think shopping is something that is one of those things when you play that just it's either a bane to you as a GM, like when your players are like, let's have a shopping session, and then you're like, oh, I did not prep enough tables for this, like I did not prep, and so I very much look forward, even though I'm more of a GM that really likes to give my magical items as part of story, it never
Yes.
fails that at some point in a campaign they want to go
Hmm.
shopping. And I
Of
very much
course.
look forward to the kinds of shops that I could build from a book like this. Like, we have a lot of magical
Yes.
items. When was the last time a bard like walked into a town? It was like, oh look, a music shop
I
full
know.
of magical kazoos and tambourines and drums and bagpipes. Like, that's really exciting. Like, I'm already thinking about like, interesting. I wonder how I would X, Y, and Z.
Right? Well, the buying and selling of magic items, somebody put this on a board somewhere, and I wish I could credit them properly because I thought it was a neat idea. They said, what if magic items were all sold the way works of art are, right? Like if they were auctioned off at Christie's, basically, right? And every single magic item was none of them are mass manufactured anyway, right? They're so not industrial. So what if they were all treated like here's the provenance,
Mm-hmm.
here you go, sir. Let me decant this potion for you. Would you like to taste it? It's still good. What if it was a level of snobbery about buying and selling magic items? I was like, that could
I
work.
like this. Yeah, because there is a little bit that's like half of us go out and bust our behinds in a dungeon to drag this off of a dead corpse, and you just bought it brand new at the shop 3 towns over.
Right? I'm like, no, this was looted. This was looted from the tomb of Asarak.
Right? Yeah.
And three of my companions died. The bidding starts at 100,000.
Go. Yeah. Awesome. Well, last question for the day. Did we put any magic items that are like prosthetic limbs or arms or attachment to the physical
Ooh,
form?
ooh. I know we have some of those in the Southlands book because the
Oh,
Tusculi hive folk are
yes.
all about attaching stuff to your carapace or, having semi organically attached stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's in this book. I don't think the Tusculi stuff is because too Midgard specific and it'll
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
Southlands.
Well, but
Man,
that's
that's a
good to
great
know where you
question
might be
for.
able to find some because Southlands is not we closed that Kickstarter, so that's also in the
Yes.
works for coming out and being made
Oh yeah,
available.
it's
So
in final layout. It's going to press here in a little while. It'll be out this summer.
wow.
So, but yeah, I don't know. It would be neat if there were some, but it is not ringing a bell for me right this second.
like metal hand of +1, like just the slapping power of like special hand or like special foot.
We think of prosthetic limbs as something that came around like in the 19th century after the Civil War or something, but I've seen cases where some knight did in fact have an
Yep.
iron
Yep, an
fist
iron
made
fist. Yep. Because I mean,
to
like prosthetics were needed throughout
sure.
all of history. And think about how scary you are on the battlefield after you've lost a limb. They talk about this of like after you've lost limbs and things, replacing them with other things is really intimidating.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
your enemies don't know that you may have lost that limb. They may just think that you have a bronze arm from hell. You know what I mean? So like, there's actually a lot of talk of how like losing a limb was in war was actually smiled upon as a warrior because like you've proven yourself, and then if you could afford a prosthetic, right? I mean that's why
Yeah,
pirates
that
have
was the hard
hooks
part.
because they could afford prosthetics. They just made it a weapon.
Pirates could afford a hook. They had hooks all over, right? But
They could
you're
afford a
sort
hook,
of
but I wouldn't imagine a bronze hand.
no, and
Maybe the
some of
white
them are
pirate.
really really fancy, right? Like they're carved or
Yeah,
sculpted to
yeah,
look like a gauntlet or whatever. Yeah,
yep.
that's pretty much for the captain of the pirate ship.
Pirate captain, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jeff, you and I are thinking alike again.
special. Yeah, special peg leg.
Yes.
Special peg leg.
Chat's like two steps ahead of me. Uh, the handbound leather edition is exactly the same in content. I see this in chat asking whether there's
Yeah.
anything unique.
Any cool things?
We try not to put extra content. We don't put
Yeah.
extra content in the limited edition or the handbound editions of things like this, mostly because we want everyone to have the same goodies.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about being a beautiful handmade book or a beautiful limited
Yeah.
edition.
It's matching the
I don't
rest of
know
those
that
leather bound editions that I know you all have on your shelves.
you know, one of these days I ought to just reach back and get one. Oh, wait, here's one. It's my Midgard handbound leather edition. Does it want to show? Yeah, it kind of shows.
Oh, it does kind of show. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Look at that.
This is an old one. This is from
wow.
4 years ago.
Well,
but
I have.
they keep getting better.
Mine's not leather bound, but I do have it nearby. There it is.
Yes.
Dot's been doing her homework. She's been reading.
Yay.
Cool.
All right.
Well, I think we are coming to the end of our afternoon, and our chat. Thanks everybody for hanging out, and celebrating this thing. We are already fast on our way to $462,000 on this Kickstarter for Vault of Magic. I will drop one more time a link in chat. And tell you where you can find us the rest of this week. It is going to be a busy week here, the rest of the week here on the channel, because Saturday, we've got the birthday celebration right there on the screen, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. PDT. There will be something going on. All you got to do is show up and help celebrate Kobold Press's 15th anniversary. You can catch us on Sunday for the finale of the Southlands actual play. And then we have announced also next weekend for GaryCon, we're doing a very special Southlands, like, regathering, but this week is our official finale, and then you can check us out Monday nights, of course, with Order Up, which is our 5e Foodtastic City of Zobek campaign. That is, y'all, it's ridiculous. It's a very ridiculous. I wish I could. They come up with like little menu items. Like each week, they have to come up with new food based on stuff that they find or they've foraged for, and it's just a real treat to watch that group work and do something.
You
very,
probably
very
get hungry
different.
just playing.
Every week. Like one of them's a forager for mushrooms. What is it? Chicken of the Woods is their like whole thing. So there's been all of these dishes around the Chicken of the Woods. It's just been an absolute blast. So make sure to check those out. And if you've missed any of that, you can go and head over to our YouTube, where we are now archiving all of those VODs for you. They're free and open to the public, so you can get caught up on all the silly shenanigans that are happening over here on a weekly basis. I think that's it. Any last thoughts, Wolfgang?
You know, this project is our biggest and best in 15 years. Wow. So today is sort of a highlight, and it's the Kickstarter's great. We're just so grateful to everybody who's backed it and supported it, and all the guests who came in and just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just excited to put it in front of people so everyone can see the art and the massive tables
Yep.
and enjoy it.
Yes.
It's a great way to go into the birthday weekend,
It
frankly.
is true. It's a big celebration. So hopefully we'll have some fun things for all of you this weekend. And if nothing else, we'll definitely be tooting our kazoos for our 15th anniversary, as well as a very successful closure to the Vault of Magic Kickstarter. So thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you same Kobold time, same Kobold channel next week. Bye everybody.